From the surface of a river, a towering figure emerges. Poseidon, god of the sea, taking on a mortal form. He strides across a bridge, his steps echoing with ancient weight, climbs the side of a skyscraper, and comes face to face with his brother, Zeus. But instead of a warm greeting, Zeus points to the heavens. The sky is choked with black storm clouds, yet no lightning cuts through. His master bolt is missing. Stunned, Poseidon denies the theft, reminding his brother of the sacred rule that forbids them from stealing one another's power. But Zeus doesn't believe him. He suspects Poseidon's son. Poseidon insists he hasn't seen the boy since infancy, but Zeus delivers a grim warning. If the bolt isn't returned by midnight on the summer solstice, Olympus will march to war. Elsewhere, a teenager named Percy sits at the bottom of a swimming pool, calm as stone, 7 minutes passing before he finally surfaces for air. His best friend Grover watches in amazement, asking how he pulls it off. Percy only shrugs. He doesn't know himself. Water is simply the only place where his restless mind feels still. They head to English class, where a new substitute teacher, Mrs. Dodds, waits with chalk in hand. She writes a quote across the board and calls on Percy to explain it. He didn't raise his hand, but she singles him out anyway. Dyslexic, words tangle on the page, and after fumbling, he mutters, he doesn't know. The class moves on, but shame lingers. That evening, Percy returns home to his mother Sally, who endures life with her obnoxious husband, Gabe. Percy vents that his dyslexia and ADHD only seem worse at this school, not better. Sally reassures him, though unease flickers in her eyes. Gabe's drunken voice interrupts, demanding another beer. Sally obeys. Percy seethes at how she tolerates his cruelty. When Percy talks back, Gabe snaps, threatening him. Percy falls silent, but his hatred burns. The following day, Percy's class visits a Greek history museum. Just before stepping inside, a strange voice whispers to him, "Be ready." Everything is about to change. He looks around and briefly spots a man who looks uncannily like Poseidon, but in a blink, the figure is gone. Shaken, Percy enters with the group. Inside, Mr. Brunner, his teacher, lectures about Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades, 3 brothers who once overthrew their father to rule the world. He explains how gods often mingled with mortals, producing children known as demigods. Distracted, Percy blurts out an answer that happens to be right, surprising everyone. Then he notices ancient Greek inscriptions on the walls morph into English before his eyes. One name stands out, Perseus. Brunner confirms his observation, but before Percy can ask more, Mrs. Dodds suddenly demands to see him privately. She lures him into a quiet hall, then vanishes. The air grows heavy. A moment later, she swoops down from above, her voice twisted and commanding. "Return the master bolt." Percy stammers in confusion. He has no idea what she's talking about, but Dodds is no longer human. Her form warps into a monstrous fury, leathery wings stretching wide, claws slashing as she dives for him. Percy barely dodges her strike. Just before she lands a killing blow, Brunner and Grover burst in, calling the creature by name. They shout warnings, threatening to tear it apart if it doesn't flee. Hissing, the fury crashes through a window and disappears into the night. Percy, trembling, overhears Brunner mutter, "I should have known they'd come for him." Percy pleads that he never stole anything, and Brunner nods. He believes him. But the danger is real. Brunner orders Grover to get Percy to a safe haven before more monsters appear. He presses a pen into Percy's palm, explaining it's not just a pen, but a weapon to be uncapped in moments of peril. Percy scoffs, but Brunner ignores him, telling Grover to warn Sally and protect Percy at all costs. Outside, Percy questions Grover about what's happening, why Brunner wants him protected, and what secrets are being kept. Grover finally admits he's been guarding Percy for years. Though Percy struggles to believe it, Grover walks with crutches, hardly the picture of a bodyguard. But Grover insists appearances mean nothing. That night, Grover rushes Percy home, urging Sally to leave immediately. But Gabe blocks them, ordering Sally to stay and serve his drinking buddies. Percy lashes out with an insult, and Gabe swings at him, only to be knocked down by Grover's crutch. In the chaos, they flee. On the road, Percy swears again he never stole any lightning bolt. Sally believes him. She explains that the place Brunner mentioned is a sanctuary, a camp for kids like him. Percy scoffs, but she insists he's special because of his father. Percy snaps that he doesn't care about the man who abandoned them, but Sally says his father never wanted to leave. Before more can be said, headlights vanish behind them, and a monstrous figure charges the car. A minotaur. The vehicle flips and crashes. Grover reveals his true form at last. Not a boy with crutches, but a satyr, hooves flashing as he staggers from the wreck. Percy and his mother race toward the gates of the camp, the only safe ground. But Sally halts. She can't cross the boundary. With tears in her eyes, she tells Percy it's because she's not like him. In that moment, the Minotaur seizes her. Percy watches, helpless, as she's crushed in its grip and vanishes in a burst of golden light. Fury and grief ignite in him. Percy remembers Brunner's pen, uncaps it, and in his hand, it lengthens into a gleaming sword. With a cry, he attacks the beast. They clash, but the monster is too strong, knocking the blade aside. Percy, bruised and bloodied, summons everything inside him and strikes once more. The Minotaur collapses, defeated. Exhausted, Percy falls into Grover's arms before darkness takes him. When Percy wakes, he's lying in a bed inside a rustic infirmary. Grover sits nearby, guilt heavy on his face. He tells Percy that what happened wasn't a dream. His mother is gone. Percy feels like the floor has dropped beneath him, but Grover blames himself, calling himself just a junior protector, not even with his horns yet. Percy, choking back tears, tells him it isn't his fault. Outside, Grover leads Percy around the campgrounds. He explains the truth. Percy is a demigod. His dyslexia? It's his brain hardwired for ancient Greek. His ADHD? Reflexes honed for combat. That's why he managed to defeat the Minotaur. Percy, who spent his life believing he was broken, is stunned. As they pass the training grounds, Percy spots a girl moving like a blur. Sword flashing with precision. Grover tells him that's Annabeth, daughter of Athena and one of the camp's fiercest warriors. Percy is soon introduced to the camp leaders, including centaurs, and to his shock, Mr. Brunner is among them. Only he's no longer Mr. Brunner, but Chiron, wise centaur mentor. Percy reels at the revelation. Chiron apologizes for hiding his identity, then brings him to a cabin unlike any other. Inside hangs a trident. Percy realizes, breath stolen, that his father is Poseidon. Chiron confirms it. It's rare, he explains, for the elder gods, Zeus, Poseidon, Hades, to sire children. Their offspring are considered dangerous, potential threats. That's why monsters hunt Percy, and why Zeus believes he might have stolen the bolt. Chiron also reveals a painful truth. Gabe's reeking presence wasn't meaningless. His foul odor actually masked Percy's scent from predators. Sally endured years of cruelty to keep her son safe. Percy feels crushed, furious that his mother sacrificed so much and he couldn't save her. When Percy asks why he's truly at camp, Chiron lays it bare. It's his destiny to retrieve Zeus's stolen Master Bolt and prevent a war that could rip the world apart. Percy insists it isn't his problem, but Chiron counters that only he can prove his innocence to Zeus. First, though, he must train. Training is grueling. Sword fights, shield drills, climbing walls. Percy struggles. But the turning point comes with a game of capture the flag. Two teams, rival banners, hidden in the woods. Annabeth leads the opposing side with ruthless confidence. Percy, placed under Luke's command, is told to stick close. The match begins in chaos, swords clashing, shields splintering. Luke fends off attackers while Percy runs through the trees. He stumbles upon the flag, unguarded, but it's a trap. Annabeth appears, swift and merciless. She cuts his hand and drives him back with ease. The campers watch as Annabeth thrashes him. Grover pleads for Chiron to intervene, but Chiron refuses, eyes sharp. Percy, bruised and bleeding, staggers toward a stream. Suddenly, he hears a voice within him, steady and commanding. His father urging him toward the water. He steps in. Instantly, his wounds close, strength surges, and clarity floods him. With renewed power, Percy pushes back, defeating Annabeth's team and snatching her sword. But instead of striking her down, he turns and seizes the flag. Victory! The camp falls silent, then erupts in cheers. They've just witnessed his true heritage. That night, as the celebration roars, Annabeth needles him. Does he feel like a hero now? Percy shakes his head, insisting he's not. She smirks, warning him not to let his ego swell too fast. Percy senses she's still deciding whether to trust him. The fire crackles and suddenly darkens. From the flames rises Hades himself, his voice shaking the earth. He demands Percy. When no one answers, he scorches the camp, threatening destruction. Then he delivers his message. If Percy wants his mother back, he must bring him the Master Bolt. He vanishes, leaving Percy shaken but determined. Later, Percy tells Chiron he can't ignore his mother's fate. Chiron warns him. He has nothing to bargain with, since he doesn't hold the bolt, but Percy won't abandon her. That night, he tries to sneak away. Grover intercepts him, insisting he'll join as protector. Then, Annabeth steps out, refusing to be left behind. Her battle skills, she argues, will keep them alive. Percy reluctantly agrees. Still unsure how to even reach the underworld, they consult Luke. He admits he's never met his father, Hermes, and spits bitterly that gods are selfish. Yet, once, he found magical shoes and a map in his father's abandoned house. The map points to 3 pearls once belonging to Persephone. These pearls can grant escape from the underworld. To use them, they must stand on a pearl and will themselves elsewhere. He gifts Percy a shield and wishes them luck. The first location is an abandoned restaurant filled with stone statues. They step cautiously inside. Annabeth notices a fountain overflowing with golden drachmas and scoops a handful into Percy's palm. They split up to search. Annabeth soon encounters an old woman begging for help, who lures her deeper. Grover, meanwhile, freezes in horror when he recognizes one of the statues. It looks exactly like his late uncle. Realization strikes. This is Medusa's lair. Annabeth and the old woman stumble into the shadows of the restaurant, and into Medusa herself. The monster welcomes Athena's daughter with chilling familiarity, lamenting her lonely existence among stone figures. She pulls off her scarf, revealing writhing snakes in place of hair, then slips off her dark glasses, urging them to look into her eyes. Annabeth snaps her gaze shut, warning the woman not to peek. But curiosity wins, and in an instant, the old woman hardens into stone, still clutching Annabeth's hand. At that moment, Grover rushes in with Percy. They can't look directly at her, so Percy comes up with an idea, using the reflection in his phone case as a shield. Medusa hisses, recognizing another demigod nearby. She senses Poseidon's blood in Percy and grows furious, toppling statues until one traps him. She grips him tight, snakes coiling around his face, threatening to pry open his eyes. Just before the end, Annabeth and Grover crash a truck through the wall, stunning Medusa. She catches sight of her own reflection in Percy's fallen phone. Percy seizes the chance, lunges forward, and slices off her head. Silence falls. He tells the others it's safe to look. Annabeth suggests keeping the severed head, its petrifying power, intact, even after death. They wrap it carefully, and in the wreckage, Percy finds one of Persephone's pearls. 1 down, 2 to go. The map points them to Nashville, inside a museum. On the road, the trio stops at a motel. Percy slips into the pool to clear his head, and Annabeth joins him. When he heals a small bruise on her hand with a touch of water, They begin to talk about their parents. She admits she's never met Athena. Percy asks why. She explains that Zeus forbade the gods from seeing their children, especially after Poseidon once tried to break the rule for Percy. Their moment is interrupted when Grover calls them in. Gabe is on television, accusing Percy of kidnapping his own mother. Overnight, they've become fugitives. At the Nashville Museum, they spot the second pearl lodged in the crown of a towering Athena statue. Tourists still wander the halls, so they wait until nightfall. When cleaners arrive, Annabeth fires tranquilizer darts to keep them out of the way. Percy straps on Luke's flying shoes and soars to the crown, prying the pearl free. But before they can leave, the cleaners return. Only now their bodies twist, transforming into a fire-breathing hydra. Percy hacks at its heads, but more sprout in their place. Annabeth distracts it while Percy summons a wave from the restrooms, shoving it back. Grover pulls out Medusa's head, turning the beast to stone. Among the rubble, they claim the second pearl. That night on the news, a storm spreads across the globe. Proof that Olympus nears the brink of war. The map's final mark glows in Las Vegas. Inside the Lotus Casino, the trio is offered lotus flowers, sweet, addictive, irresistible. Hours slip into days as they lose themselves in games and neon luxury. Percy finally hears Poseidon's voice in his mind, cutting through the haze. Focus. He shakes free of the trance, drags Annabeth and Grover out of it, and together they fight past staff who try to keep them trapped. They burst into the streets, clutching the last pearl, only to see the date. June 20th. 5 days gone. Zeus's deadline is tomorrow. The map's last clue leads to Hollywood, where the entrance to the underworld lies hidden. At the gate, Charon the ferryman refuses to take the living, but Percy bribes him with Medusa's golden drachmas. They descend into Hades' palace, where hellhounds stalk them until Persephone herself appears, commanding the beast to stand down. She leads them before Hades. The god of the underworld demands the bolt. Percy swears he doesn't have it. He only wants his mother back. Hades, unconvinced, produces Sally alive but captive. As Percy embraces her, his shield suddenly splits open, revealing the master bolt hidden inside all along. Hades roars with triumph, accusing Percy of lying. Percy stammers that the shield isn't his. Annabeth realizes Luke planted it. But Hades doesn't care. He orders Persephone to unleash his hounds. Instead, she rebels, striking Hades, stealing the bolt, and thrusting it into Percy's hands. She refuses to be trapped in a war-torn underworld. She tells Percy to run, get the weapon to Zeus before midnight. With only 3 pearls, someone must stay. Grover volunteers, choosing to remain with Persephone. Percy, Annabeth, and Sally escape, bursting back into the mortal world inside a skyscraper. But Luke is waiting. Blocking their path, he confesses everything. He wants Olympus destroyed, a new world without the gods. He grabs the bolt, launches into the sky with his winged shoes, and hurls lightning at Percy. Percy straps on his own pair and gives chase across the city skyline. They battle atop rooftops, sparks flashing, water exploding from shattered tanks. Luke sneers that Percy is weak, unworthy of Poseidon. Percy answers by summoning a crashing wave from the reservoirs around them, blasting Luke down, broken and defeated. He seizes the Master Bolt and returns to Annabeth and Sally. Together, Percy and Annabeth ascend to Olympus. At the council, Zeus prepares to declare war, but Percy bursts in, bolt in hand. He explains Luke's betrayal. The gods fall silent. Relieved, Zeus takes the weapon, halting the war. At Percy's plea, he frees Grover from the underworld. Poseidon then approaches his son. For the first time, they speak openly. Poseidon apologizes for his absence, explaining that Zeus forbade him from contact. But he admits he's always guided Percy from afar and promises to be there if needed. Father and son clasp hands in an uneasy truce. Back at camp, Sally tells Percy she's proud he's found where he belongs, free at last from Gabe's shadow. Grover shows off his new horns, beaming. Chiron scolds Percy for sneaking off, but admits he's his favorite student. He reminds him, always trust his instincts. Training resumes, but Percy's smile is different now, stronger, surer. He steps onto the field with Annabeth, ready for whatever comes next.